Hi, I'm Daron. I'm the pastor at Cross Life Church, and I'm so glad that you're watching this video because I have a very special friend here today, Sarah. And Sarah is the founder of a fantastic women's event called Rest, Restore, Revive. And you're watching this because you want to learn a little bit more about it and probably learn a little bit more about her as well. And so I wanted to just ask her a few questions and share her with you and share the event with you to give you a better idea about what this is all about. So rest, restore, revive. Maybe we need to get to know the founder of this event first and have you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, thank you for talking with me today, Pastor Daron. It is my delight to share about this event and how it came to be. But first and foremost, I am a daughter of the King. But I wouldn't have said that about myself even 10 years ago. It would have been, I'm an engineer, college educated, master's degree, look at all these awesome things that I have done and trying to prove myself. And I was exhausted. And I thought that was just the way that I had to go about life and perform. But there was this breaking point and shift, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. But now I am the chief hope giver of Sarah de Orlando Coaching, and I speak and write and coach women to help embrace the life that God has for them, the rhythms of rest, ceasing from striving and from expectations put on themselves by themselves, or by others, right? And we're just so weighed down. And I want to lift those burdens and help them live that freely in light life that Jesus is truly calling us to. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, and I'm really attracted to that title of chief hope giver. It seems like you put some thought into that and want that to say something to women. So what's your intent with that title? You know, instead of saying president or just a speaker,
Yeah.
what's your intent with that title, chief hope giver?
I have battled with hopelessness for so long and have suffered with depression that I've realized that hope is the thing that ignites and propels us forward. And so many people don't have a woman or a man speaking hope into their lives and saying, affirming you, I see you, this is what God has called you to. Why don't you take that next brave step? So I want to be the master champion cheerleader for my clients, for the people that read my books, for the women that come and join my events, that they walk away feeling that hope from God, because God describes himself as the God of hope. So I didn't get this hope from myself. It's hoping in him and not in my circumstances that really fuels that fire in me and help me develop this title.
To speak like that, you have experienced that journey personally, I'm sure, right? The hopelessness to hopefulness journey. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. I touched on it a little bit of that striving mentality, but also from the past and some trauma, some hard knocks as a kid. And I really believed that this life was just pointless, that I was forgotten, I was unseen. And these things were not true, but I was believing them and finding ways to believe them and looking for unhealthy validation in relationships and accolades, just trying to get that love from somewhere because God loved me, right? That's what everybody says to you when you're little, but I had so much shame and pain trapped away in my heart that I couldn't share with anybody. I felt like I would get in trouble. It just brought me to these places of looking for fulfillment and brokenness. And Jesus talks about, or Isaiah talks about it, of broken cisterns, going to those places to look for that filling up, but they don't satisfy. And I really walked that out and hit some hard places in college and finally got to this place where I was running out of medication for my antidepressants and I was so stressed out and I thought they would call me crazy. And I decided, God, I guess I'll try you. I'll try you out. I'll see if your word actually can give me encouragement as an adult. As a kid, read your Bible, do these things. I had some habits in my life that were there, but I didn't really get to bring him all of me until that point. And that desperation brought me to the place of, I need relief from this depression because I know that there's something for me. It wasn't, thankfully, suicidal at that point, but I had been there, and God met me. He literally had put Christian songs on my secular Pandora. I don't think anybody listens to Pandora anymore. Maybe you do. Sorry. But God just had his hand on my life.
The divine algorithm.
Yes, yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
He did. And so he carried me through into engineering, graduating in my master's program. That's when he started to really step in and give me Christian coworkers and other ways to influence me. So in 2016, he brought me to Poland for work. I went there to make some awesome money, to pay off student loans. My husband and I had been married for about 5 years, and we needed to knock out this debt. But when I got to Poland, I didn't realize how lonely I would be, how depressing it was to be in this cold, rainy country in March, dark, without support system. And again, that was another turning point of saying, Jesus, I need something more from you because this isn't enough. Like, just listening to a podcast once in a while is not enough. Like, I need you to show up and personally. He waited for about 6 weeks. I was seeking, and I was spending Sundays listening to sermons and worship music. I would bring my Bible to a local coffee shop and hope that somebody would invite me to church.
Wow.
Nobody did.
Yeah.
But those were my hopes.
Wow.
Then my friend came back from a honeymoon and sent me an email with a link. She said, this is a church you might want to check out. It was a beautiful English and Polish website with people joyfully singing, getting baptized. It was not Roman Catholic. That's typically the religion in Poland. And I knew that I needed something a little bit different for me to connect with Jesus. And this was it. And as soon as I had glanced away from my computer, there was the most magnificent double rainbow I had ever seen.
Wow.
And the backstory is that I was sitting on an airfield base that Hitler had once visited. And yet God was bringing hope to that city, to that country, and to me as this American girl working as an engineer abroad.
So I'm guessing that there's women hearing your story and listening to you, watching you right now, who are saying, I wish God would show up like that in my life. I wish, where's my double rainbow, right? Where's my divine algorithm and a song coming up in my playlist that shouldn't be there? What would you say to a woman who's thinking that? Like, hey, great, that's your story.
Yeah.
But mine is hopeless. What would you say to her?
I hear you, and I understand that place and that pain, and there have been so many times when I have had those gut-wrenching cries, and it seems like there's days, weeks, months without an answer, and it's just this waiting, this stillness. But then he comes through. God always comes through. He always answers the prayers for his children. He loves us. So maybe there's something that's meaningful to you, like you love birds, and you might see that yellow bird. And to receive that as God, you know that delights me, and you gave that to me. Not just, oh, that's a coincidence. Because maybe we can rationalize something and not receive. So there was such a need in those wrestling in Poland in those 6 weeks that when he did come through, I knew for a fact that it was him.
I love how you said that God is always there and he always answers. And I think part of your story that's interesting as part of an answer is when you said you were looking for a friend to invite you to church by going to a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And you did that more than once, right? Multiple times.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen.
No.
And so that could have been easy for you to say, God's not showing up.
Yeah.
And then in a direction, I always call this fish jumping in the other side of the boat, right? I'm fishing on one side and God brings fish on the other side, that invitation to the church. It's not where you were looking for it, but it came, right? So I think that's the way hope works, is that we might be looking for it in some things. And like you even said before, empty cisterns.
Yeah.
Or that we're just so tempted to look for hope in places where Jesus knows that's not the best hope for you.
Yeah.
And then to turn to him, to be curious about him, seek him. You don't have to know him totally or even trust him totally. It's hard to trust, but just seeking, pursuing, help me. And that's such a powerful beginning of hope, and it's for everyone. I love it. I love your story, and can I come? It's a women's event.
You can sit in the back and maybe be an usher. So
I'm there to serve. I can be there to serve. Is there anything going on at the event itself that you find that women you've held this event before, the Rest, Restore, Revive, and what are women resonating with at the event? What are you finding them saying, wow, I didn't expect this, and just this surprise? What are you finding that they enjoy about it?
It is a sacred space where we are encouraged and have the time to slow down. There's some times to pause and reflect and write. How often do we just rush through life? Now the themes are rest, restore, revive. So first, before we jump onto the hope train and do all these awesome things for God, often we need to rest to receive what he has for us. And it might be that most simple, most foundational point of how much he loves you, how much he delights in you. And I want us to sit in that. So we spend a lot of time soaking in that goodness, journaling about it, hearing different ways to connect with God and receive his love. To find then restoration for those broken parts in our life. Because how can you get healed if you don't trust? God loves you. I think trust comes first. And you trust by knowing how much he loves you. So that is a simple concept, but it's one that could be glazed over so quickly. So we really slow down, park it there, soak in the fact that he is our Abba Father, find ways to connect and pray to hear from him instead of us just talking to God and telling him all the things that are on our heart, which he loves, just to receive what is that verse he wants to share with you? Or maybe it's a word to know that he delights in you.
That slowing down, and you said the word soak. In my mind, I'm visualizing a bubble bath. My mom or my wife is taking a bubble bath, and that feeling. But this is different in the sense that the bubbles pop. Mm-hmm. the water gets cold. Mm-hmm. You're slowing down. You're breathing. You're just purposefully slowing at this event, so that you're building some sustainability, right?
Yes.
You're building bubbles from God that don't pop, in a sense.
Yes.
So that's the rest. Then the restore part.
The
How does that work?
Restoring part is time processing with God some hard things that you are going through right now, or maybe you want to process that has happened in the past, and seeing where is he leading you for healing. What does that look like? I'm not a counselor, but it's the starting stage of finding healing and admitting, Jesus, I can trust you enough to invite you into this place. And you love me even though I battle with depression. You love me even though this has happened or I've made these choices. Receiving mercy, receiving grace, it is really critical for us to mature and to have joyful lives. Because if you're battling with shame or guilt or fear every day, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And I want us to feel that healing that Jesus provides, the abundant life that he offers right now.
You know, there's so much about identity in what you just said, right? Like, people can associate fear with themselves and just think like, all I am is a big knotted ball of fear. That's who I am.
Yeah.
I am shame. I am guilt. Right? And to disassociate that and say, you're experiencing that and it's real, but that's not you. Right? You're a daughter of the King. And so you're equipped to be restored as you invite Jesus into that space. I love how you say that. Like, that's invite Jesus into that space. If it's so close to me and I'm identifying with it, I don't have a clear idea of that space. So I love how you put that. So Jesus comes in, come to me, all you are weary and burdened, and I'll give you, right, rest. And so rest, restore, and how about now revive?
Revive. That's where we notice where are the places that have seemed dead in our lives, the hopes that we've lost, the discouragement that has trampled the dreams we've had, and see, God, where are you calling us forward in hope? And I love in John 11, it's one of my older daughter's favorite verses in the story of Lazarus. And she's had me read it to her every day for a long time, almost every day. There's this verse that Jesus says right before Lazarus comes out. If you believe, you will see. If you believe, you would see the glory of God. And it starts with that belief that God is going to do something even more than you can ask or imagine in your life. And he is for you, and he loves you. He's got good for you. Now it might be the fish jumping in the back of the boat, different than what we expect. But there is a specific purpose and plan and calling that he has in our lives that's unique to every person. So let's revive whatever that stirring is and take one step toward that. One step. You know, they thought, Mary and Martha thought it was hopeless. He'd been dead 4 days. The brother was in that tomb, and Jesus comes in. So where can we invite Jesus into our lives to revive something that needs to have life, that will bring life to others too, and hope to others?
I love that, because when that Jesus shows up, and when he shows up, he makes a difference. And a lot of times people can think when Jesus shows up, he just wants to lay down a bunch of rules that are going to make my life not fun. Or lay down rules that are good, but they're so heavy.
Yeah.
They're so burdensome. I can't, there's no way I could do it. There's no way I could be that good. And when Jesus shows up, it is to give life. Just to believe in Jesus and have that life that he gives. And he gave that next step to Mary and Martha. And then, of course, he gave the step to Lazarus when he called Lazarus out of the grave. Lazarus come out, and not by his own power.
Yeah.
He couldn't raise himself from the dead. But when Jesus shows up, and believe and you'll see, it's life-changing. And that's I like that word revive for life-changing. So I hope we didn't reveal the entire Rest, Restore, Revive content on this video, and that the ladies are still interested in coming to the event. I got a feeling they're going to get a bunch more, because it's really an all-day event with lunch in the middle and a number of speakers. And so I'm excited about it. I'm going to have to be an usher so that I can get some of the content. Anything else that you want to say to the ladies, or a verse you want to share?
Yes, I
before we
have a
head out?
verse that I would love to share. And of course, I would love to have you with me, and you too, and just soak in the love that God has for you. Take this time for yourself and see what Jesus does, because He's with us all the time. But when we're earnestly seeking Him, oh my gosh, I don't have words for it. So I'm going to say this verse instead. It's 1 Peter 5:10. It says, "And the God of all grace, who called you to His eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will Himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast." I'm not restoring. You're not restoring. It's Jesus that restores in us. It's God the Father that restores in us for His glory. And this is a promise. And this event is a start to that, an invitation for the Lord to work in the women's lives who join to find rest in Him, to let Jesus to restore those broken places in your heart, and then revive the hope that He has always longed for you to have.
Thank you, Sarah. That's wonderful. You helped me see more about the Rest, Restore, Revive event, and I'm sure explained it for the women who are watching. So join Sarah and the other speakers, and maybe me as an usher, at the event. And I love what you said about the promise, right? Rest, restore, revive. Actually, those are more promises than they are commands, aren't they?
Absolutely.
That these are God's promises, and they're God's promises for you.